Praise be to the one true God, ar-Rahman, the Merciful. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and may the grace of the Most High God be forever in your favor. Welcome to yet another video on the exegetical analysis on the chapters of the Quran by the Quran. In the previous 3 videos, we covered verses 6 to 16, which deal with the perfidious, that is, those whom the Quran refers to by the phrase alladhina kafaru, those who, according to verse 56 of chapter 8, refers to those individuals with whom the messenger had contracted a pact of peace, but who broke their covenant at every single occasion, and who did not show any concern in what they had done. Similarly, according to verse 99 of this same chapter, which we are currently studying, Allah informs us the only ones who are guilty of kufr, that is perfidiousness, are those who are categorized as fasiqeen, meaning the lawbreakers or the lawless, who, according to verse 26 and 27, break the pact of Allah after having contracted it, and who cut that which Allah had commanded to be joined, and who in addition create disharmony in the land. Thus, from these verses, we can understand that the alladhina kafaru refers to those individuals whose pattern of behavior is inconsistent with their sworn fidelity to Allah, meaning they conscientiously profess or swear fidelity to Allah, but yet act in a way that is characteristic of ingratitude, infidelity, and disloyalty. It is thus in this light that verses 8 to 16 cover the trait of hypocrisy exhibited by the perfidious, as these types of people outwardly profess fidelity to Allah and the Last Day, but yet they lack sincerity and genuine faithfulness in their hearts. They outwardly present a devious side while in the company of the faithful, but they harbor resentment towards them while in the presence of their true compatriots. Similarly, when admonished to refrain from creating disharmony in the land, they deflect criticism by claiming to be reformers and maintainers of peace, portraying themselves as agents of positive change rather than perpetrators of corruption, disorder, and disruption on the earth. This thus brings us to the topic of today's video, that being verses 17 to 20, which summarize the conversation on the perfidious by providing 2 vivid metaphors to illustrate their spiritual state and behavior. These verses highlight the consequences of persistent perfidiousness, the futility of resisting divine guidance, and the importance of humility and receptivity to truth. Through these metaphors, the faithful are urged to reflect on the transient nature of life and the need to seek guidance and remain steadfast in faith. Exegetical analysis on verses 17 to 20 of Surat al-Baqarah. In the name of Allah, ar-Rahman, the Merciful. Their parable is like the parable of one who has ignited a fire. But as soon as it has illuminated whatever is around him, Allah took away their light and left them in darkness, where they could not see, deaf, dumb, and blind, and as a result, they are not to return. Or like a rainstorm from the sky, wherein there is darkness, thunder, and lightning. They put their fingers into their ears because of the thunderclaps in dread of death, as in that moment Allah is encompassing of the perfidious. The lightning almost snatches away their eyesight. Every time it illuminates the path for them, they walk therein, but as soon as it darkens over them, they stand still. Had Allah willed, He surely could have taken away their hearing and their eyesight, as Allah is truly over all things competent. Verse 17 presents a powerful metaphor to illustrate the spiritual state of the perfidious by likening their state to someone, i.e. the messenger, who kindles a fire, referring to the initial spark of the Quranic revelation, whose illuminating light, i.e. guidance, shines upon all those who are around it. However, when this light of guidance illuminates the surroundings of the perfidious, Allah takes it away, leaving them in darkness where they cannot see. Darkness, here representing the spiritual blindness and ignorance of the perfidious. Meaning, despite being presented with clear signs and evidence of truth, the perfidious persist in their rejection, leading to spiritual blindness and ignorance. And so Allah similarly snatches away the guidance from them. This parable underscores the fleeting nature of guidance and the importance of seizing opportunities for spiritual enlightenment before they are lost. It visualizes those who receive the divine guidance, but whom the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches and the desires for things overwhelm their hearts to the point that they choke whatever light fell upon them of the divine guidance, and as a result, God takes away his divine light from them, and thus they do not become fruitful. Verse 18 employs a powerful imagery to describe the spiritual condition of the perfidious. They are depicted as being deaf, dumb, and blind, which serves as a metaphor for their refusal to accept divine guidance and their inability to perceive truth. Their deafness signifies their unwillingness to hear and heed the call to faith. Their dumbness refers to their inability to articulate their own falsehoods or arguments against the truth, signifying their intellectual incapacity to engage in meaningful dialogue or debate regarding matters of truth. It also underscores their lack of justification for their perfidiousness, as they are unable to present coherent arguments against the Quranic guidance. Their blindness symbolizes their spiritual blindness and ignorance, for they are incapable of perceiving or recognizing the truth when it is presented to them. The use of powerful imagery vividly depicts their spiritual condition and underscores the severity of their rejection of divine guidance. The repetition of the attributes of deafness, dumbness, and blindness emphasizes the severity of their spiritual state and underscores their incapacity to return to the right path. Verse 19 presents yet another powerful analogy to depict the reaction of the perfidious to the signs and warnings of the Quranic guidance. It compares their response to a rainstorm from the sky, filled with darkness, thunder, and lightning. The imagery vividly portrays the overwhelming nature of divine warnings, as well as the fear and dread experienced by the perfidious in the face of divine punishment. The phrase, "a rainstorm from the sky," is analogous of the Quranic revelation descending from the heavens, carrying with it many lessons, teaching and warnings, here visualized as darkness, thunder, and lightning, to which those who are in denial of its message are unreceptive, represented as them sticking their fingers into their ears to block out its message, all the while not knowing that Allah is fully encompassing of them. This symbolizes their attempt to shield themselves from the perceived danger and avoid confronting the consequences of their perfidiousness. It illustrates their stubborn refusal to accept divine guidance and their unwillingness to listen to the truth. Their reaction to the thunderclaps is described as being motivated by their dread of death. This underscores the severity of their fear and apprehension in the face of divine punishment. Despite their attempts to evade divine warnings, Allah's knowledge and power encompass them completely. Verse 20 continues the metaphor of the rainstorm, highlighting the fluctuating state of the perfidious fidelity and infidelity. The lightning momentarily illuminates their path for them, symbolizing a few moments of them gaining clarity and insight. Herein visualized by the phrase, "Every time it illuminates the path for them, they walk therein." However, they quickly revert to darkness and confusion when the light fades, symbolizing their return to perfidiousness and ignorance. The verse emphasizes the transient nature of their fidelity and their vulnerability to spiritual blindness, meaning when something in the divine guidance resonates with their inner perception of truth, they follow along and even adopt momentarily accordingly to it. But when something is not to their liking, they spurn the guidance and shun it entirely, thereby maintaining their previously held blind attitudes. Herein visualized by the phrase, "But as soon as it darkens over them, they stand still," meaning when the guidance is removed from them, they become spiritually lost and they wander about in their blindness and ignorance to the detriment of their own souls. This parable depicts those who, when they hear the divine guidance, they immediately receive it with joy, but because they have no root in themselves, they endure only for a short while. Then, when tribulation or persecution arises on account of the divine guidance, they immediately fall away, retreating to their inner desires and wants, never to return to the correct path. It asserts Allah's power and control over all things, including the faculties of hearing and sight of the perfidious, in their time of loss. The statement, "Had Allah willed, He surely could have taken away their hearing and their eyesight," underscores the sovereignty of Allah and His ability to deprive the perfidious of their faculties of hearing and sight, leaving them completely devoid of guidance and perception. This statement serves as a reminder of the importance of humility and submission to Allah's divine will, as well as the importance of acknowledging His power and authority, as Allah is full capable of all things. In conclusion, verses 17 to 20 of this chapter use vivid metaphors to illustrate the spiritual state and behavior of the perfidious. They highlight the consequences of persistent perfidiousness, the futility of resisting divine guidance, and the importance of humility and receptivity to the truth. Thank you very much for watching, and may the grace of God continue to be forever in your favor.